The Dead Pair Podcast is fueled by Fiocchi.
Paul?
Welcome to the Dead Pair Podcast, coming in hot with everything you want to hear about sporting clays.
Guy Fieri.
How are you, gentlemen? Thanks for having me.
Anthony Matarese Jr., how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well.
Welcome back, David Radulovic.
That's a net positive 30 minutes. Brad Kidd.
Corey Cruz. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Now I feel awkward.
With your hosts, Jason
One
Rambo
more Red Bull for you.
and Sean Alley.
Woo, yeah!
Christmas.
Let's do it.
Often imitated but never duplicated. It's the Dead Pair Podcast. And now, it's showtime.
We're back.
We are indeed.
And you didn't leave the door unlocked. Somebody just flat kicked it in.
Yeah, he looks like he could.
Well, hey, Mr. Alley. Welcome back, Mr. Large and in Charge.
Yep.
And welcome to the show, Mr. Ian Lashley. What's up, Ian?
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I love the intro too. It's an amazing intro. I really like that.
Thank you. That we have to give all props to Toby Tomplay for that.
Yeah,
one,
he
so.
did a phenomenal job with that one. Hey, before we get going here and get with introductions with Mr. Ian, I made a mistake, and it was called out, and I realized I made a mistake. So I had said that Karen Shed HOA'd a regional. That is not true. That did not happen. She actually HOA'd, I think it was the fee task for Arizona State, and I got confused. So I apologize to everyone. I think going back and looking at the records, the only woman that came close to HOAing a regional was Madison Sharp. She took third overall. Obviously, they had the ladies tour, and Karen's won that. But my point is I screwed up, so I apologize.
It's all right. I don't think any lives were lost over that error. So,
No,
but
listen,
we always try to be as accurate as possible.
if people didn't make mistakes, pencils wouldn't come with erasers.
That's right.
Right, so-
That's right.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, Ian, tell everybody who you are, and then I'll get into why you're here.
Absolutely. So, I'm Ian Lashley. I own Lashley Training Center. It's located in Mount Vernon, Ohio. We have a location in Danville, Ohio. And what we do is we do fitness, martial arts, and inside those things we do like a lot of different things. So, for example, the fitness, we focus on a lot of personal training. We do boot camp classes at the gym, and we also offer these services online where we'll do virtual training with people as well too. And what's really awesome about that, what we get to do is we have people come in and we custom we have generic stuff. We can have people do stuff, but a lot of times we get in with people and we do custom stuff, exactly for them to get from point A to point B, for them to have success and results and whatever their goals are.
Right. Well, a little bit of backstory here. So I started working out at this gym, and come to find out, Ian went to school with my stepkids. So that's kind of cool, right?
Nice.
So he knows my wife and all that. And then I got to thinking about it one day while I was working out, and I thought, So I approached Ian and I said, I'm going to give you the ultimate challenge to build a workout program. And he said, okay. I said, but before I can do that, I got to take you sporting clay shooting. So I took him shooting, and
That was a lot of fun.
yeah, you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, I've never done that before. So I mean, I've heard of skeet shooting or clay pigeon shooting and all that stuff or whatever. I've just kind of heard of it, but I didn't realize.
Sporting clays.
Yeah, sporting clays. I didn't realize. I mean, how in depth everything is, and like how it's a freaking awesome sport. I mean,
Yeah,
there's so many details and stuff like that, just like any other sport has. It's really cool.
Well, let's not anybody get confused. I'm by no way means or methods a professional or an instructor, but I mean, I showed him the right way to mount the gun, and I said, I want you to pay real close attention to all the muscle groups you're using. When you swing the gun, it's not just with your hands. I mean, it's core. You can feel it in your ankles and the whole 9 yards. And we shot 100 bird sporting, and we spent quite a bit of time out there. There was a lot. We probably burned way more than 100 targets each.
Yeah, especially with me missing them. You had to.
That's all right. We all
Here,
do.
pull again.
We all do a lot of that. Don't worry.
Yes. But so then after it was all over with, I told Ian, I said, okay, so here's your challenge. I want you to build a workout program that can be used by both men and women from the ages of 8 to 80. And now this is the point where Ian started giving me the hairy eyeball.
I'm sure.
And I said, and oh, by the way, I don't want something where they have to buy equipment or, join a gym or go to a gym. I want something they can do at home.
Yeah, that's a tall order.
And that's a tall order. And that's hard to do, And so, Ian, you went to work.
Yeah, we came up with the top 10 exercises to, I call it the strength and conditioning program for sport clay pigeon shooting. It was a challenge. I mean, not only did I guess I didn't realize the in-depth kind of thing the sport had or whatever, but then I was talking to my wife and I was like, yeah, he wants me to put together a strength and conditioning program for sport clay pigeon shooting, and she's like what? My wife's never even heard of it before. So
right. You're just holding a gun. What's the problem? Right?
That's yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's so much more that goes into it. I mean, that day we were out there, I mean, there's way more stuff that goes into it. Just you're putting a gun up to your shoulder and shooting
right.
Like little saucers flying in the air.
Yeah, it can be pretty in depth. But I guess Sean and I need to preface this with saying we're not saying that you have to be, you have to go work out in order to shoot good.
No, but it certainly can't hurt.
It can't hurt, and this is where it's relatable for you, Sean. And I'm going to pick on you here for a minute.
Yeah.
But there was times when we would shoot 2, 3, even coming up here soon 4 and 5 day tournaments where on Sunday you're just beat, you're wrung out, and you had mentioned that you would like to do something to improve that, and I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to this that they want to do something to enhance their physical ability so they can enjoy the sport more.
Right.
And it's really cool because Ian came up with all this, and we filmed it, and Ian, you demonstrated each one of the exercises. Now, you didn't do a set of 10 or 10 reps or whatever, but you showed us the proper way to do each exercise. You want to go through that for just a second?
Yeah, and too, like what you're saying with, you're not saying you have to work out to be a good shooter, but right. I think what you guys are trying to do, especially, you're trying to revolutionize the sport. I mean, think about Tiger Woods with golf, right? He was really the first golfer to lift weights.
Right.
They told him if you lift weights, it's going to make your swing worse. Golfers don't lift weights. Right. And he did the complete opposite, which it made him, I mean, in my opinion, a 10 times better golfer than anybody else.
Oh, yeah.
In better physical shape.
Right.
So I think it's really cool that your idea of putting this together and wanting to be the best shooter you can be, because
right.
I think there's it's beneficial, obviously.
Sure.
But yeah, so I'm sorry. What was the original question? I got sidetracked with the Tiger Woods thing.
I did the same thing. But no, we were talking about the exercises that you came up with, and you don't need to go through them in detail because you did a phenomenal job of that in the video. But what was it in the movements that the muscle groups and everything you were doing? What triggered in your brain and said, "Aha, this is what we can do for this," or "This is what we can do for that"?
Right. So I think when you think about everything, it all starts from the feet and goes up, right? It goes up to the body. And I think the most two important things that your body, everything's connected to in your body, is your core and your hips and your glutes and your back. I mean, right? You're basically your posterior, what they call your posterior chain, like your lower back, your butt cheeks, and then your hamstrings and that core. So, I mean, when you're when you're shooting or trying to support a gun or even stand up, and the big thing that I noticed too that was really interesting, you talked about posture when we were shooting.
Yes. And
that's kind of the first thing that made me think about this was you're like posture. There's a correct posture to hold while you rotate and everything. So that's kind of what I really focused on is like, okay, what exercises can we do to help someone maintain this good posture by supporting a firearm that weighs 10, you said roughly it's between 5 and 10 pounds depending on the gun and all that stuff. But the stronger that is, what we call your trunk, which is basically your core, your midsection. That's really where I should say your trunk and your back. That's where all that posture comes from. So I kind of started with that as okay, all the rotation and stuff like that to support yourself. And if it's stronger, you can do it longer, like you were saying with Sean, right? If those muscles are weaker, you're however many shots you're in, 300, 400, 500, clays. You might struggle or start losing your posture and your rotation and stuff like that when you're following the targets. Right. So I guess that's kind of my initial thought of where I took everything from there was off of posture and supporting those main areas. Right. And I might be elaborating too much on it, but then like another thing too is like with we talked about just even our proprioception or balance of our bodies.
Oh my gosh, he just said proprioception. David Radulovich is all excited. Go ahead, Ian.
But I mean, proprioception is huge, and then balance, which I mean starts with you could say the person's the one shooter that's really into fitness. I can't remember his
Kevin
name.
Miles.
Miles. The feet. It goes from the feet, the ankles, the knees, all the way up, and all other stuff. So a lot of the exercises too are going to challenge. And obviously you gave me a big job of saying, okay, an 8-year-old and an 80-year-old.
Yeah.
But I tried to take that in consideration. Okay, what can really help somebody's proprioception and then balance and footing and stuff, which is also is connected with where your body starts. On the floor with foot, ankle, knee mobility, stability, and all that stuff.
Gotcha. Well, so looking back, I mean, I know you haven't been shooting very long. Jason took you for that first time around. So when you were actually moving the gun, what is some of the things that you noticed on you? Did anything get fatigued, or did anything feel like it was working harder than others when you were kind of going through the motions?
Yeah, I thought for myself, I was going to say my shoulders and my upper back, which... that's what I was trying to. I think I may have a stronger core. I mean, obviously, I exercise a lot and stuff like that. I'm not saying I'm the most fittest person in the world or whatever, but I feel like I might have a stronger core than maybe the average person that doesn't work out. So, that's where maybe I wasn't feeling that as much or whatever. But I felt like definitely my upper back and my shoulders, which could be tied into where I'm not. I'm mounting something up and holding it there, and also I think the recoil probably plays a factor in as well too. As far as not like a ton, but I'm saying if you're not used to shooting a gun that many times, and it's a 10-pound shotgun. That's going to play a factor in the fatigue.
Absolutely.
Well, and that was
your
one
back
of my
and shoulders.
Yeah, that was one of my points when I took Ian shooting. Sean was I took both my A400 and my Kolar. I wanted him to see the weight difference between the two, and understand that in a 100-bird course or a 100-bird tournament, you're mounting that gun 50 times.
Oh yeah,
because everything's done in pairs, right? So it's easy to break it down 100 times or 100 divided by 2. But that's 50 times you're bringing that 10-pound gun up, or 8-pound gun, 7-pound gun, whatever it is. You're bringing it up, and you're moving your core.
Right.
It may be a minimal amount depending on the shot, or a lot.
Right.
But I wanted Ian to get a full taste of that and feel those muscles, and it's kind of funny because he's trying to hit the target, and he's in the back of his mind, he's feeling what muscles are moving, Yeah,
it was
you poor thing. You didn't have a chance out there, did you?
Yeah, so it was pretty interesting, and it's like that. 'Cause I mean, I have my concealed carry. I like to shoot and stuff like that, but it's the first time I've really tried to think about, okay, what am I doing when I'm shooting this shotgun? Like somehow are my butt cheeks getting activated, or am I?
Unless you're doing 3-gun stuff, you're really not moving around a lot with most guns. Like if you're rifle shooting or bench shooting, you're just basically sitting down with the gun and you're shooting down range. If you're pistol shooting, most people just stand in front of the target and shoot. Now, if you're doing 3-gun or something like that where you're moving around, that's a little differently. But with a shotgun, with what we do, a lot of movement. A lot of right to left, up and down, left to right, and the gun, you could be shooting uphill, you could be shooting downhill. So your body has to have a huge range of motion compared to just shooting a target downrange in the same place.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I didn't realize too was what we were talking about with rotation. You're saying rotating up and down or side to side. Really, how much you actually do that, and I mean that could be huge for people that you need to have mobility with that as well too. Which obviously strengthening your muscles overall in your whole entire body and exercising is going to help increase. It'll help increase your mobility. But I was talking to even Jason about it would be good for actually when you first came and worked out, I do that dynamic stretching routine.
Yes.
Where it's about 10 minutes. I think we took about 10 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that would be huge, your mobility. But I mean, we're talking about nobody's done anything before. Just exercising is going to help. It's going to help everything. Your stability, mobility, strength, and all that stuff.
And I think we briefly touched on, maybe we didn't in the video, but another side effect of all this exercise is your resting heart rate. And that's something that as shooters we try very hard to do, is bring our heart rate down when we're in the box and we're shooting. I know, and I'm going to pick on Rad Chad Roberts. He wears a heart monitor, on his wrist. What are those stupid watches called?
Oh, the
You know what I'm talking about?
Not the Apple Watch.
Like the Fitbit.
The Fitbit or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he'll watch his heart rate, and he will sit there until his heart rate calms down before he goes in to start shooting, because when you're amped up, man, it affects everything. Your vision, your reactions, everything. So
yeah, no, I just actually did a competition for jiu-jitsu about a week ago. So
by the way, congratulations on that. He just won that. Well, you won black belt on that, right?
Yeah, I won my super fight or whatever. My dad gave me my black belt afterwards.
That's awesome.
I've been doing jiu-jitsu for like 20 years. I started when I was about six or seven.
So let's peel off on that for a second, if you don't mind, Ian. You teach karate, jiu-jitsu, boxing. Do you do any MMA in the gym?
I have. I steered away from this, and I guess I tell people this like kind of privately or whatever. I mean, I guess I don't really care, but most people that do MMA are deadbeats. You want me to be completely honest? Someone's gonna listen to this and totally.
I'm gonna
might be trying to find his phone number later on after the podcast or something.
But as far as like when I really took over the business, like MMA people, they come in with wife beaters and say, hey, I'm going to make it to UFC. Can I pay you a membership when I get paid from the UFC? And then they beat up everybody, and then they're usually jerks. And then your people that actually pay your membership dues, end up getting pissed and leaving. So
yeah,
that's my rant for MMA.
But you do boxing, and you also do jiu-jitsu and karate in your gym, and you compete in those disciplines as well.
Correct.
That's just awesome. And I know he's being too modest here. I'm going to plug him too. You have your own line of supplements made by Lashley Fitness. I mean, you have a pre-workout, a post-workout. You have protein. What else am I missing? Is there another one?
Yeah, we have recovery. It's called Recovery. And it's a BCA complex with glutamine in it to help you with post-workouts. We're developing more products too. Like we have a creatine, a fat burner, some more flavors of protein coming out. And our whole thing is trying to just develop the best products that we can have, for especially just the people even we're working with. So, I can give a good recommendation. I say, hey, here's something that can help you, get the extra 10 to 20% out of your time here and stuff like that. Yeah. And you can trust us and buy it from us instead of going somewhere else and have them, selling you the unicorn dust or whatever at GNC.
Yeah, all the synthetic crap that nobody needs. Sean, do you have another question?
Well, I was just going to say, I'm kind of excited. I haven't seen the video yet. I know Jason was talking about it. So I know you guys worked on a lot of different exercises. Can you kind of talk a little bit about, I mean, I know it's probably not helpful to discuss it maybe to a nth degree, but if you can maybe talk a little bit about some of the exercises you came up with, why you thought those were appropriate, and then that way, hopefully by the time this comes out, we'll have the video close to being released at the same time.
No, I plan on the same day.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, so good deal. That way it'll be helpful for people to watch while they're listening.
Everybody that's listening to this, when you hear this, I will be releasing the video the same day on our YouTube channel, Dead Pair Podcast. Real easy to find. And you can pull it up and watch it as soon as you're done listening to this.
Cool. But yeah, like just kind of give our listeners a brief overview of like some of the exercises they can look forward to and why you thought those were important for what we do.
Absolutely. And really quick, I want to touch on something too, where you said about the resting heart rate too, because I thought that was a really good point. So something too that just exercising in general is going to help you do. And I think, I see it with working with, I worked with athletes and even competing myself. I know I'm not, I'm doing grappling and stuff like that. That's really physically demanding in a different sense. But I mean, what exercising does though, or putting ourselves under training stress, I think helps us deal with what you said. You can lower your heart rate, which is very very important. But also dealing with spats of adrenaline, and adrenaline and just stress in general. So if you put yourself through it or make yourself uncomfortable in training, and then you go to a competition to shoot, your body and you're used to getting put under stress and being uncomfortable. So I think that could help. That can help out.
It'll probably respond better.
It'll respond better to stress than if you just don't ever do anything. You walk in and you have to shoot your 100 clays or whatever and go or whatever if you're not used to dealing with stress or any that kind of stuff. But anyway, so the exercises, I actually had a really hard time with this because I love exercising and working out and stuff like that. So I'm like, man, there's like a billion exercises you can pick to do this. So what I tried to do is I tried to pick the exercises that gave you the most bang for the buck, that tried to work I tried to do what we call compound movements that would work multiple muscle groups in your body. So, if you're doing one exercise, you're just not like, which I'm not saying there's nothing wrong, just stand there doing bicep curls, right, or something like that. But when you're standing there doing bicep curls, you're most likely just working like your biceps. You should be most generally. But
right.
If we do like a big compound movement, we're working multiple muscle groups at the same time. So you're getting more bang for your buck, especially if you're short on time.
Right.
So for an example, like one exercise I use, and probably in the video you'll see, Jason and I broke down like different, like I say, hey, there's different ways to modify this to either make it harder or easier. Because that's the other thing with exercising is there's like 1,000 ways, maybe not 1,000, but a bunch of ways you can do one exercise to make it either more challenging or less challenging for the person.
Okay.
And that was also kind of the difficult thing as well too, because I wanted to make it so it's very modifiable for somebody.
Right.
So, but anyway, the first exercise I picked was like squats, which what we talked about with proprioception or balance, right? Being able to do a body weight squat is going to not only help strengthening the legs and the core. I mean, basically, from you take your nipples and down. I mean, you're using everything to do a squat,
right?
And especially that mobility and stability of the knees and ankles and feet. But in the video I said, one easy thing you can do is squat standing on a pillow, right? Or some sort of unstable surface, because when you start, and it doesn't have to be crazy, and you can even go as far as like if you're very uncomfortable with it, stand on the pillow and you could hold onto a wall or a chair or a table or something while you do the squats. But now you just went from squatting on like flat ground to an unstable surface,
which makes you work harder,
and stuff like that. So that's one way you can work basically almost the whole entire body with one exercise and multiple things. And I mean, you're doing one exercise.
Gotcha. Right.
So with all the exercises, I tried to do as much as I could to try to make it so you're using as much of the body as possible and working the most and making it modifiable for everybody.
Yeah. Best bang for the buck.
Yeah. and then I'll share this one more here really quick. I mean, there's nothing crazy here at any, but like, I get into some more with bands and stuff like that, but we just did push-ups, for example. I think push-ups are great. You're talking, like I talked about, using the back and shoulders and stuff while I was shooting, and then you're still working your arm. I mean, you're working your biceps, your triceps, your back, your chest. You should be working your core and your quads, and even your lower back and glutes a little bit with the push-ups. You should be activating your whole entire body in that plank position. But the awesome thing about push-ups is, though, anybody can do a push-up, guarantee you. And what I mean by this is, you start inclining the push-up, right? So what I'm saying is if you can't do a push-up on the floor, you start basically standing up against the wall.
Oh,
because you're using it uses gravity and leverage and gravity and your body weight to do the exercise, right?
I got you.
Yeah, so you could do a push-up.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I could have you standing against this wall right here, and it's a very inclined push-up. But I mean that's fine. You're still working those muscles. And what I was telling people is you slowly just start lowering the incline to get lower to the floor. So you start on the wall, then you go down to you could do a counter or a bed or to a chair, and then you're just getting closer and closer to the floor. And as you get closer to the floor, it's going to take more leverage and gravity against your body to push yourself back up.
Gotcha.
And that's how you get stronger. You increase the resistance.
Yep. And then the cool thing about this, Sean, and I know you're excited to see it too, but there's no equipment needed for any of this.
Yeah, that's the awesome thing.
Well,
except for the resistance band.
Yeah, there's a resistance band.
But I'm talking, you don't have to go buy any expensive equipment. You can go to Walmart and buy a resistance band for $10-15.
Yeah, like $15.
Yeah, and and here's the cool thing. He even shows in the video how to tie the resistance band around a t-shirt and throw it into a doorway and close the door and use that to pull from.
Oh, okay.
So it literally takes zero. I mean, you literally just do it with that band and a towel or t-shirt or whatever, and you got yourself a
But you were just trying to break it down to where anybody could go do this. There's no restrictions or barriers to overcome.
Right. He did exactly what I asked him to do.
That's cool.
He made it so the complete demographic of people that shoot sporting clays can do these exercises. They can do it from home. They don't have to go to a gym. They don't need expensive equipment. I mean, a $15 band, you spend more than that on 2 boxes of shells.
1 box.
Right. Well, depending on what you're shooting. Yeah. So, but, and again, I can't say this enough because I don't want to get beat up on the internet. We're not saying you have to work out to be a good shooter. Okay. Look look at the greatest of all time, George Digweed. That man doesn't know what a gym membership is, let alone where to find one.
No.
Okay, but he's the greatest shooter in our sport.
Right.
Okay, so but my point is if you can go out there and shoot and you're not getting tired,
right,
you're not fatiguing, you're not getting down to Sunday and thinking, man, I got to do something about this. I am just worn out. Wouldn't it be a much more enjoyable experience if you could just do a little bit of exercises in your home?
Yep.
And how many times, Sean, have we complained about the weather up here? Right now, today, is not conducive to going out and shooting.
Oh, hell no.
But you could do something to help improve your shooting.
Yep, you could definitely do something indoors as long as you were safe and dry, and I think anybody would never complain about that. So,
right.
Well, and two, I'm thinking what's our biggest enemy in life as well too? It's getting older and dying, right? And as we get older, it's scientifically proven, and you can Google all the statistics, right? You're gonna lose bone density, you're going to lose mobility, you're gonna lose muscle mass, and all this stuff. So, at what point does that allow you not to shoot anymore?
Right.
And so I think that's a big thing you could say to, by exercising or doing something, you're prolongating your life and your ability to shoot and do something that you love to do, which I think is the ultimate thing in life.
And Jason and I have witnessed it personally. We've been at shoots where there's guys that are seniors in their 70s and 80s, and they're having a hard time getting up in the box, or they need somebody to help them get up there and then hand them their gun. But they still shoot because of the love of the game.
Right,
but obviously they're struggling with, just the regular movements that everybody else is able to do.
Right. And that's something else too, Ian, and I've really never shared with you. The majority of this sport, and I don't know if it's the way the youth shooting's coming on so strong nowadays. It may be the majority is the youth, but I think it's more towards people with disposable income.
No, I'm going to say it's your 30 plus group, or maybe even 40 plus group that's out there shooting, because those are the ones that can afford the high cost that comes with the sport.
Right.
And
if you call any public course, who is the 99% majority of their clientele throughout the week? It's people that are retired.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're coming out to shoot with their buddies. Instead of going to the golf course or the country club, they're going to the sporting clay course.
Right.
And this, again, could help them. Right.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Ian, if you would briefly talk about, and we've had Chef Joel Donis on here, and he's got some great outlines for nutrition, but in doing this, what is something you think a guy or gal can do leading up to tournament day? Obviously, nothing you eat on tournament day is going to make that big of a difference, but leading up to tournament, what do you think as far as nutrition?
Yeah. And I think too, on tournament day, nutrition is still kind of important in my opinion. I think anything you put in your body, but let me actually start with this as well too. I think I'll go even deeper with it. I think we need to think about sleeping, hydration, and nutrition.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, are the three big ones.
Yep.
And something new that I kind of learned, and I'd have to find the research for it or whatever. I'm just saying something I've read, whatever. But sleeping actually 2 days out from a competition or a day is actually even more beneficial than the night before. I mean, obviously, the night before sleep is very, very important.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you should just sleep 2 nights before and then stay up all night the day before. That's not what I'm saying. But they said how our bodies operate or work is actually within that. It would be that 70, like roughly that 48, 72 hour period there. The sleep 2 nights before the competition is actually just as important as the night before.
Gotcha.
For our bodies to get as well rested and recovered. And that's something I've honestly never heard here or read about until recently. Yeah. I can't remember all the science and all that bull crap behind it, but I just thought that was really interesting to share. So, but I mean, obviously, yeah, sleeping is huge. I mean, that's how your body repairs itself. Boatloads of stuff, and then also hydration, right? So making sure you're drinking about even though you're saying how mentally taxing the sport is, I mean, really you should be drinking about 0.75 to an ounce per pound that you weigh. Depending on how much you're taxing yourself, your nervous system, your whole entire body. So I mean, those two things are super easy that I think everybody overlooks. That will change things hugely. Because even for example, you talk about people. The number one cause of headaches in America, usually they say, I'll take ibuprofen or whatever, but it's dehydration.
Yeah.
People don't drink enough water.
Right.
That would solve, however many, like 90% of the headaches that would happen to a regular person is just, you're not hydrated enough. Right. So I just can't say as much. I think it's huge importance about that.
Right.
But as far as nutrition goes, I mean, yeah. It's harder for me because, like, obviously there's multiple ways to do nutrition, right? There's not really, you could per se, a wrong and a right way. As far as, like, some, because it's really about your body, right? What your body adapts to and does well with. There's people that are shredded and really healthy that are vegan, that do keto, that are carnivore, that are just the Mediterranean diet. I mean, there's multiple ways to do nutrition. I think the most important, though, would be probably eating enough healthy fats and protein. If I had to give a tip on it, because our brains are made of mostly fat, and so that's what it operates off of, is having healthy fat. So we're talking about for brain function, which is, I mean, when I was shooting, there's a lot of mental focus that goes into this, and it's very, very mentally taxing. So I mean, that would be important to nourish your brain.
Okay.
As far as, I don't know if you like, as far as you're saying, like I don't know if you want me to say like a exact diet or something like that, or
no, because I think, and you know more about this than I do. I think when it comes to nutrition, it's a very individual thing.
Absolutely.
Everybody's needs are different. I don't think any two people are really the same when it comes to that. I mean, it just depends on. There's so many factors it depends on, I mean, right. If you're talking about calories, well, if you sit at a desk all day, you probably don't need very many. But if you live an active lifestyle, you're gonna need more, and then
Well, even just like that, like you got that salad for me, and there before the show or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that was, I haven't ate vegetables in that would have been about 257 days since I ate a vegetable.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was that lettuce right there. I mean, I eat nothing but meat and organs and fruit.
Really?
Yeah, so that's literally almost in a year I've had vegetables.
Why?
I don't think they're good for you.
Really?
I mean, and now you guys are I'm gonna get screamed at by all the professionals now after saying this. But I have this different approach to nutrition. I don't think vegetables are necessity.
I mean, we've seen a lot of different varieties of diets. I mean, there are people, like you said, that do the keto or do the caveman diets or whatever, where they're just eating nothing but meat and nuts, and that's about it. Then there's the vegans. I mean, there's a lot of different diets that you can go on. I guess it depends on your body and your chemistry, right?
Yeah, and Dr. Kolar, who's an eye doctor, has been on several Sporting Clay podcasts. He's really big on eating like the green leafy vegetables, because they're so good for your eyes. And that's one of the things, let's face it, if your eyes aren't good in a sport, you're going to struggle.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm one of those people, so I do eat, but I still eat green leafy vegetables. I'm not saying I have a problem with somebody eating vegetables. Yeah. It's just why I want to do something different, try it for myself. And I've been the lowest body fat percentage with the highest amount of muscle mass I've ever been in my.
Well, with what you do,
yeah,
I mean, that's the thing.
Exactly. That's what I was just getting at. With what he's training for, it's different, right? So it requires a different diet.
It's like comparing a wrestler to a golfer. There's two totally different things going on.
Right. I probably just got canceled in the fitness industry. Whoever's listening to this.
No. I mean, again, you got to do that's the neat thing about diet and everything. It's very individualized, and everybody's a little bit different based on what you're doing, what your performance expectations are, and also how your body processes different foods. I mean, some people's bodies don't work well with meats and proteins. Right. So they got to find other things to do. And vice versa. There's probably a lot of people that don't deal well with certain fruits and vegetables that they might fight them. So again, you got to kind of test the waters out and figure out, I guess, for yourself what works best. But I think the point is that if you dial it in and focus on the foods that are doing you the most benefit, then that's probably the best thing you can do.
Well, and one thing we all three can agree on, or anybody that's in fitness and health or whatever can agree on, is sugar. Don't eat sugar.
Right.
I mean, don't eat sweets and sugary stuff. Right. I mean, it kills your brain, it causes cancer.
I mean, with a little bit of research, with the availability of the internet nowadays, it's so easy. And I'm sorry, this is before your time, but when Sean and I wanted to know something when we were your age, we had to go to a library. That's that place that has all the books. But with the easy access to the internet nowadays, a person can very easily figure out what nutrition's right for them. And by the way, there is doctors out there you can go to.
Right. Yeah,
ask your doctor, but. It's like you said, sugar's one. My wife has celiac, That was unheard of 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
But it's because of the way that we process wheat in this country.
Right.
Like flour's natural color is not white.
Right. It's bleached.
Right. And so it's because of the way we process, and it causes all these health problems. So just eat the right food.
Well, and also over here in America, I mean, not to go off on a tangent, but, the grain we have here is vastly different than what they have over in Europe.
Absolutely.
Same thing with our animals. Like their pigs and stuff are like what they call old generation animals, and ours over here have been, again, modified.
Well, even take a minute and Google banned ingredients in Europe or the UK versus America. Like they have roughly, and it's probably grown past this, but roughly like 200 some ingredients that are banned in the UK that we still use here in America.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean,
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
So, Ian, let's circling back here. If somebody wants to reach out to you and wants a personalized workout program, you do that for people remotely. What's the best way somebody can get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can I can give my personal phone number. I don't care. 740-507-4464. That's my personal number. You can call or text me on that. Besides that, if you go to search Lashley Training Center, we have a Facebook and the Insta, all that good stuff, and you can send us a message on there. Or email me at ian@lashleytraining.com.
And I'll have all that information in the podcast description, but I just wanted to put it out there, and I'll attach it to our workout video too.
Okay. So. Yeah. And what we try to do is, we can do completely custom, and like you guys were saying, it's all about the individual. So that's why I like the custom stuff. To try to get down, okay, what do you actually need to do to help you, just not generically, whatever, because everybody's body's different.
Right.
I think that's hard when you start selling, nutrition or fitness plans and all that stuff, because nobody's going to be the same person.
Yeah, it's not a one size fits all type
right.
of deal.
I think that's probably the trickiest thing in the fitness and health field, because everybody tries to make it a one size fits all, and it's not.
Right. Well, Sean, do you have any more questions?
No, I think I'm really excited to see the video, obviously, so I can put kind of some movements and some visuals with what we're talking about here. And I think hopefully this will be, since this is a winter podcast, this will help some of us that are up here in the north freezing our butts off and waiting for spring.
Yeah.
Would give us some motivation, maybe some ideas, things we can do at home, things we can do, again, without investing money in like, all this equipment and stuff, maybe just a resistance band or two or something like that. I'm excited. I want to check it out and see what I can do with it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Are we forgetting anything? We missing anything?
No, I think that's about it. Thank you guys so much for bringing me on here and having me do this.
Oh,
no, it's our pleasure, man.
Yeah, absolutely. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'll be glad to do anything to help. So even if you're hesitant to reach out or whatever, I do stuff for free all the time for people. So to help get them started, any way I can help people get started or whatever advice or anything I can give somebody, please just let me know.
Thank you. We appreciate that. I know you've got to now. What did Andy tell me? You have to certify tonight, isn't that right? You got to do like.
Yeah, it's for my black belt. Yeah.
Okay.
So typically how we do it is we do like a testing day where basically a bunch of people just try to beat the heck out of you. To put you under stress, we call it a stress test. Obviously I had my match or my fight or whatever. My dad just gave it to me after my fight. But it's something that, just out of respect for the other guys that are getting belt ranked and stuff, like I'm going to go do it with them, even though I guess I don't technically have to, but I feel like it's the right thing to do for the other people that, go through our facility and our training program to see like, oh, I just didn't, I went and did it too. It's just part of our process.
Very
like
cool.
a lot of gyms usually do something like that.
Yeah, you might as well. Then that way nobody can hold anything back from you either. So
right,
I was there. I did it.
Right. Well, Ian, we're going to cut you loose. Everybody hang tight. We'll be right back. Thank you again very much, Ian Lashley from Lashley Training Center.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Well, Jason, that was pretty neat talking to him. Of course, we've had Joel Dondas on. We've talked about nutrition. Mm-hmm. We've had Don Grant on. We've talked about the mental side of the game. But, honestly, something that most people probably take for granted or don't even think about, I would say most of us probably don't think about, is the physical aspect of the game. Right. It's not real demanding that you go out there and shoot. You're not running a mile. You're not doing push-ups all day or whatever. It's not like you have to be in tip-top shape. But it certainly wouldn't hurt to be able to say, okay, build your stamina up, build your endurance up, maybe strengthen, tighten some muscle groups up, that kind of thing to help you through the day, because it wears on you after you shoot a long tournament. You're out there for 3, 4, 5 days, and it really beats you up day after day.
Well, I mean, I've experienced it, and I've seen you really experience it. At the end of a 4 or 5 day run. I mean,
oh yeah, especially
gassed.
like where we're doing like 2 or 3 events a day. It's just like, good Lord, it just takes it out of you.
Well, I noticed it at the Nationals, not this past year, not 2022, but 2021. It was like, man, by Sunday I was just worn out. I was ready to go home.
Yep.
And then coming into Nationals this year, I had started working out a couple months previous, and I could tell a difference, especially with all the stress of, being the super squad host and all that stuff that we were doing. Mm-hmm. It was added stress and added anxiety and running around and all that other stuff. So it definitely made a difference. I mean, it really did. And I'm excited to see, because I've been on this warpath about working out, and I'm excited to see what it does this year.
Yeah, so, definitely.
But I hope it helps. Some people might be like, whatever, not listen to this. But I hope that hope maybe they'll give it a shot.
All we can do is put it out there. You know what I mean? It's like you can lead a horse to water. You can't make it drink.
That's right. But, there's two things that I think about all the time when it comes to working out and fitness and doing well, or even practicing or training for sporting clays, is I looked all over the calendar and I cannot find a someday. Someday is not a day of the week, and I looked all over a clock face and I can't find where it says sooner or later, so it's like, and those are our two favorite excuses,
right?
Someday I'll get out there and someday I'm going to work out, and, sooner or later I'm going to have to start doing this. Well, what's wrong with now?
Right.
Live for every moment, but hopefully people will take it seriously. And hey, we'll keep plugging along. We'll keep trying to bring some good information to help shooters.
Well, and it was really nice of Ian to sit down and actually that had to have been a challenge when you said, from 8 to 80.
You should have seen the look on his face.
Right. I mean, it's just like, well, wait a minute. I mean, that had to be challenging for him. I mean, I'm really excited to see the videos, really excited to see what kind of exercises he came up with, because, I'll probably start doing them, and just for nothing else, just better boost to health and endurance. So.
Yeah. Well, and with your ankle, I was thinking about that the whole time we were filming it. It's like, Sean can do this.
Yep.
Sean can do this. I mean, I was watching all this stuff thinking, Sean can do that. Sean can do this, know? And I know it's hard for you. I mean, you cannot go get on an elliptical or a treadmill. It's not happening, right? Mm-hmm. But this is something you can do to improve your health. So
absolutely. And hopefully it'll help everybody else too. So
yeah, like
I said, we try to bring this stuff to you guys. I mean, take it or leave it. It was in our best interest to try to get it to you guys. And we thought it was a interesting and unique topic for a podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, Sean, what do we tell everybody every week?
Well, Jason, we tell them to take somebody new out shooting, take them to a tournament, take them to a fun shoot, take them to a charity shoot. Just get a gun in their hand and go out there and bust some birds and have some fun.
Absolutely. And, when they get to the point where they think they want to take this a little bit more serious, turn them on to this podcast.
That's right. Turn them on to the podcast, and then hopefully they'll hear about all our great sponsors and everybody else that contributes.
Yeah, and hear all the mistakes I make, and, But hey, listen.
We're all human, buddy. We're all human.
That's right. Sean, Allie, until next week.
We can't wait to see all of you right back here on the Dead Pair Podcast.
We'll see you next time on the Dead Pair Podcast.
The Dead Pair. The Dead Pair Podcast is fueled by Fiocchi USA. The Dead Pair theme song was written, arranged, and produced by Toby Tomplay. Special thanks to the following sponsors: Bear Pelt, Negrini, Rhino, Otopro, Dawn Grant, Atlas Trap Company, RE Ranger, Woolly Shooting, and White Flyer Targets.